The next section we're going to talk about is tone. The source of your sound is your guitar. That's why it's imperative to have a quality guitar. From there, your signal is going to move into your pedal board. From your pedal board, it goes to the amp, and that's where we're going to start today. As you can see, I haven't actually needed to do much because this amp and my guitar pair pretty well together. The treble is pretty much at noon, and the middle, bass, and tone are all at about 1 o'clock. The important note I'll make here is the volume, which in this case means gain, or how much drive is being applied to the circuit. I've plugged into the low gain insert. This is because I know my guitar has relatively high gain pickups. I've started out with the low gain in the hopes of getting a pretty clean and chimey sound to use in soft parts of a song. From there, I can actually strum harder to make the amp break up. Let's take a look at my pedal board. While the lights may be on, my looper is actually not in effect, which means that the signal is completely passing through my pedal board. This is where we begin at the amp. If I just strum a simple E chord, I get a pretty loud and beefy sound. But let's watch as I strum from soft to hard, and watch what happens to the amp. The amp starts to break up or get more drive applied to the circuit because of the harder I strum. In worship, I like to make it so that the amp is actually my first gain stage. In other words, I just strum harder to apply more gain to my sound. Next, I'll explain my technique in setting tone at the pedals. It's pretty similar to the amp, in that I want a more or less even tone, with maybe more mid. The gain should always go in sequential order, so from least gain to more gain. And you don't want to have substantial volume differences between your pedals. This will make it really hard for the sound guy to do his job. Instead, try to keep the pedals pretty much even, but I will say that when you increase gain, you do increase volume. So just try and even out that difference as much as you can by playing with the gain and the volume on your pedals. The first setting is just my buffer. This is it without the buffer. And this is the buffer turned on. Just a little bit of affection in the sound. Second is the Timmy. It gets a little more gainier here. First stage. Now with the Timmy. Now we go from the Timmy to the Archer. The third stage is the Harvester. It sounds like this. In the fourth stage is Kalamazoo, which I don't use that often, but it's nice to have when I really need high gain. The first three pedals are more than enough for most worship sets, and they're mostly what I use during worship sets. But again, the fourth stage is really nice to have. After that, I have my boost, which just applies a volume gain. It sounds like this. It can be applied to any pedal, but in this case, I'll use the Archer. It's just increasing my volume a little bit. One thing to be aware of is that the sound at your amp, or in your ears, is not the sound at the soundboard. In fact, your signal is always going to be more overdriven or distorted at the soundboard coming from the speakers. Because of this, I like to keep my sound at the amp just a little bit below what I'd like it to be at, knowing that the soundboard and the speakers are probably going to make up for that difference. The sound guy always wants to hear a cleaner sound than you want to as a guitarist. So make sure that you're well aware of what he wants you to sound like and his needs, since he's mixing you together with the rest of the band and looking at the whole band as a whole. Hey, thanks for watching this video, and we hope that you found it helpful. Remember to check out our other videos in this series.